Up next on Inside Champ Car, crowning a champion. Welcome to Inside Champ Car. He is
Bill Strong.
I'm Brian Polanski. This week on The Big Show, we recap the championships at the Ozarks, a tale of two races. We'll chat with the championship race winners from Connecticut, Visceral Racing. Bill, great weekend at the Ozarks. A little wet on Saturday, not so wet on Sunday.
Well, where I stood, it was all dry, but yes, it was. I didn't know what to expect. Never really been to the Ozarks. I thought I'd been out there, but I wasn't even close. It was absolutely beautiful place, not just the track, but the surrounding areas, the lake. I was amazed that it looked nothing like the Ozarks TV show. Probably because that's filmed in Atlanta.
Probably.
But and nobody spoke like Ruth. I was really disappointed in that. But new facility. JR, the owner of the joint there, he was just amazing. He's out there doing work along with everybody else, trying to make our event go well. They're all super high tech, and we get there, and guess what? We're not really high tech, and we had to run some loops for our timing and scoring, but it worked. We ended up getting it working right, and we had a pit loop and we had a race loop, and for timing and scoring. And once we got that done, it was just a matter of setting up our booth for Tiffany Alexander and I to do our side of the show with Paul Veltum back in Indiana. And it worked fine. It worked great. Their folks helped us with a lot of video and setup, and we set up Flagtronics. And again, they helped us with that. And that went off without any real issues. And then it was just a matter of doing the practice on Friday, which was it was raining. And of course, we had done some laps in our personal cars prior on Thursday, and we're just kind of blown away. There was one section of the roller coaster where you're going down a hill and you don't see the bottom of the hill until you get 3/4 of the way down. And mind you, I'm in a Ram 2500 way up out, 4x4 way up in the air. So I'm thinking, oh my God, with some of these guys with their super low sports cars, there's going to be no way they're not going to see the bottom of the hill till they hit it, and that's what it seemed like you were doing. You were driving into a wall down there, and then boom, you're slinging back up.
I know you were.
Dana did.
As I say, I know you were real concerned, or kind of concerned, that all these guys and gals were coming to a track they'd never seen before, and nobody had ever seen before, and it's a real technical track, lots of crazy ups and downs. Right. How did everybody handle it?
Well, Dana actually called our insurance company to see if we could actually approve them going out with their personal cars and do hot laps. Hot laps, but just do 25 mile, 30 mile an hour laps in their cars, and the insurance company said, yeah, no problem, we'll cover anything that happens. Yeah. And so everybody was out there. They all hop in their cars. You could see them coming down pit lane, all smiles, giggles. They're all sitting back, drinking coffee, just relaxing. We're going to go out on the track. And as they came around for the first lap, all the coffee's put down. They're all set up in their chairs, windows up against, faces up against the window. And you could see that, oh crap, what did I just get into? What did I sign up for? Look, now management side, we were I wouldn't say scared. We were pretty certain these guys would be able to pull back on their, and learn the track and work their way up to it. But you never know. And historically we've had the Chump Car / Champ Car racers and the Lemons racers, and those guys are usually the ones that hold it back, are focused, and will build up to whatever to race. But then you have the more seasoned. Are they professionals? The more seasoned racers, they've got that license and the certificates and all that stuff, and they're the ones that wadded up first corner because it's or maybe corner 3 or 4, but they're the ones kind of pushing it a little harder than they should. That's kind of what I was afraid of, is that, and it would be embarrassing for us, because the whole world was watching this because SRR just pulled out of the event that they were going to hold after us, for various reasons. And that was what scared me, is that Champ Car was now under this microscope and people were watching how our drivers handled this track.
Right.
Now, after Saturday, I was most proud. We only had, Ron's car got his other car got wadded up. I wouldn't say wadded up. It got, the tail end came out on him in turn one and hit a wall. The RVA graphics car did the same thing in the wet. And that's going to happen, but nobody got hurt. We had a couple of other cars, but nothing really bad. It's just not like the massive carnage the internet was predicting. And I'm so glad, because our racers just did an outstanding job of holding it together. And then, okay, of course, we never talk about this in control or as a, but quietly, God, I hope they're, it's supposed to be dry on Sunday. I hope those guys can do the same thing they did. And they did. It was amazing. They just Saturday dry, and they'd had time to think about how that track went. And they did awesome. And I'm really glad. Nobody got hurt, but I did notice there, I went out on Sunday to the top of the roller coaster. I had heard that some guys were talking about the car, or Troy actually was telling me the car gets really light right there. Like it felt like the front end was going in the air.
Right.
I'm like, no, that doesn't happen. And so I went out there and I'm listening to the cars, and a bunch of cars as they go through, they're like, wow.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa. And the R-Bank car, especially being front wheel drive and high horsepower, or, they say it's not high horsepower,
sure.
Who knows? But that car would get up and you could see the suspension just kind of let itself go as he went up and in that car. The only car that did not do that was the Grant's Miata. That was just flat straight through there. And I don't know, they had no wings or anything on that car. So I suspect that it's a lot of underbody, stock Mazda hardware that kept that car planted on the ground. But, oh my God, that car was just so fast through there.
The timing didn't allow you. There was no racing in the dark, right?
No.
So it would have been
good. So I don't know if we'd want to.
Well, I say it would have been cool to see coming down off of that, to see if you get any sparks out of the back of the cars.
The sparks, yeah.
If the cars were bottoming out at all as the suspension came back and compressed again.
Well, there was one accident where the guy said that he just got it off. The car bottomed on him and the whole car just slid. And it was basically, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah. I think that was the Visceral car. He said he just cut the curb. I think it was Visceral. They cut the curb too hard. The car came basically bottomed, and cars don't like riding on the frame rails,
right?
Especially when they're in full compression and
right.
But yeah.
So at end of the weekend, what was the general impression? If everybody have fun, do they want to go back?
So, I made it a point Saturday after the race to walk through the paddock. It's something that I used to do, and because I'm now full-time with Champ Car, I kind of have to do other things. It's hard for me to do that, but to talk to the racers, and I wanted to get their feedback about this track, and not one person said they hated it or didn't like it. Most, if not all, said this was an amazing track. And
cool.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah. And a bunch of them were basically, this is my favorite track now. And cool. Sunday, it just reinforced that when they got to actually drive it in the dry.
That's awesome.
And that just blew me away. Yeah, it just blew me away.
That's great. So, again, I said it was a tale of two races. Visceral Racing won Saturday's 8 hours. They had pretty much no problems, I guess, on Saturday. Then, and on Saturday, the folks from their main competitors, I'm pulling it up in front of me. Oh, the Flat Out Nemesis team, the Mazdas, they had some issues on Saturday. They finished 6th. Then we fast forward to Sunday, kind of a flip-flop situation, whereas the flat-out nemesis Mazda had a great day, finished first, and Visceral had a couple little issues, nothing big. They finished fourth, and when you add it all together with your magical Champ Car point system, Visceral Racing Group, the 959 car, ended up being the Champ Car Endurance Series national champion.
Yep. Yeah, and Ron's worked really hard for that over the last few years and just missed, he's just so close every time, some stupid thing happened or just little things. But yeah, it all came together and he wins it. There was a lot of folks that just didn't, the track, this found your weakness in some drivers, and the weakness would be maybe motion sickness or vertigo or something like that.
Sure.
To where there was teams affected by it. We even had a few guys get carbon monoxide. They claimed carbon monoxide poisoning. I think mostly it could have been, some sort of heat issues.
Okay. What were the temperatures?
Not necessarily heat stroke, but just some heat issues.
Yeah.
In the the 80s, but I think a lot of it too was there was no place to rest. That was one of the complaints, was that there's you have this track with most tracks you go to, you have 2 or 3 corners that, are really fun. But the 9 others, you have time to rest.
Right.
They said this one has great corners every corner. Okay. And you have 0 time to rest. It took Troy like 6 laps to wipe the mud off of his mirror. And that was he said that was the hardest part, was just there's no place to even just check your gauges.
Sure.
You're attacking the next corner.
Right.
So then that was another thing. But some drivers found that challenge to be the ultimate. It's like, how can I be faster? Talking to Troy this morning, and he's like, dude, I'm bringing my car next time because I know I can go faster. I know where I've lost 5 seconds or 4 seconds or something.
Great.
And it's just amazing how these guys, on their way home, they're like thinking, how can I do better next time?
Yeah, that's cool. All right, so let's listen to, you spoke with Ron after the race, and he seemed pretty happy with everything going on. So let's take a quick second and listen to this. This is Ron Herrick. He's the owner of Visceral Racing. They are this year's national champions.
Down here with the 2021 national champion, Ron with Visceral Racing. Man, that's a long time coming.
Yeah, this is our start of our 8th year, and it's the first time we've ever won it. First time we've even come close to winning it. But we didn't give up. We kept trying. Today it looked a little iffy, but we had some lucky breaks. It wasn't decided to the last 15 minutes of the race. That was great. That was absolutely horrible for me. I told Ray, I said, you may have to, at the end of this race, you may have to send the ambulance to my pit stop, because I'm going to be flat out on my back, passed out. That's how close it was. Within the last, it was like 14 minutes before the end of the race.
I mean, we know the history of how you guys have done this, but the whole time I'm hearing that car just right on the edge, and I'm thinking, just pull it back a bit, but you really couldn't.
I tried multiple times with both drivers, telling them to, slow down a little bit. And then Saturday, my driver sets the fastest time of the day for the field on the second to last lap after we already had the race locked up. It's like, I tried to slow him down, but yeah. And then today, the same thing a little later. That last 14 minutes, just slow down. And then they're running 147, so I tried. Yeah. Luckily, I have 3 really good drivers, and they have very, very good car control, and we needed that on this track today to try and keep up with all those other competitors out there.
Yeah. Now, it's just not about this race. It was about all year long. I mean, we saw that our bank and Andrew and those guys just kind of dominated with all the wins, but you were always up there.
Yeah, we try to be. When we started the team, our goal was to just be competitive. We just wanted to be competitive. We didn't want to go out there and run circles around people or anything like that. We don't run, the really soft tires or anything like that. We prefer to spend our money in doing more races because we enjoy coming out to the track. All my guys are track junkies just like me, and they can't get enough of them. So we do 10 races a year, and always we start with like 12 or 13 they want to do, and I'm like, no, I'm not Superman, I can't do that. So But yeah, my drivers should take a whole lot of credit for this.
That's cool, man. All right, congratulations, national champion 2022 and or 2021. I don't know how that works. We'll figure it out. But yeah, national champion, that's all that matters. Visceral Racing Group, national champions.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, there you go. That's why I had to think about it before I started introducing. I'm calling it the 21-22 national champions. I don't know if that's right.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I don't know.
He sounded tired.
21. Yeah, 21. It's 2021.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody was.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
sounded
Grant
worn
looked
out.
like he was. Yeah, it was. Everybody was really tired, and worn out. It was pretty wild.
So let's go through the top 10 from the whole combined, because you put them all together after Saturday and Sunday to get the national championship. Let's run through the top 10.
Now, mind you, we're still kind of officially putting this together. So this is a real rough rundown that Tiffany put together for us. But Visceral Racing Group took number 1, Flat Out Nemesis number 2. Looks like Cone Crushers was number 3, R-Bank number 4, and then GMS Racing number 5. Let me see, 12 points, 13.
I will do the top 5.
But yeah, and Flat Out Nemesis unfortunately wasn't registered for the Mazda Championship. So the second place Mazda will take the national championship win, and I think that was maximum effort. I think, but I'm not quite certain. I have to go through again. We're still putting this together. It's a lot of work for us. Or no, Valerian Steel. I'm sorry, it was Valerian Steel that took the national championship for the Mazdas. Yeah.
Cool. And when you get that all put together,
contingency.
Yeah, when you get that all put together officially, I'm sure you'll put something on the Facebook page and stuff, right? Just to
No, not really. Yeah, we're not going to do anything with it.
We'll just when I see it, I'll
it'll
post
be
it
all,
on your Facebook page. For you.
Yeah, no, we'll put it up everywhere, and including emails and on our webpage. So that's a big thing, national championships. So,
absolutely. Yeah. Congratulations again to the boys and girls at Visceral Racing Group, our 2021 Champ Car Endurance Series national champions. That was pretty great. And again, great interview with Ronnie coming up here and just after the break. So stick around for that. It was fun to hear not only the story of this past weekend, but how Visceral Racing got to be where they got to be. A lot of fun there. So, you know what time it is, Bill?
It is Tech Tip time.
Okay, Tech Tip time.
Tech Tip. So we're going to talk about brake rotors and brake rotor runout. What's runout? Runout is where you get that little wobbling effect with your brakes, and it can affect your pad life. It can affect the braking. Make that whole steering wheel shake and move all over the place under braking, or even just going in a straight line sometimes or turning. But basically, I've seen guys take they clean up their and this is aimed mostly at the guys that just really are new into racing or new into building a car. They see these guys on the street doing this stuff, which is basically taking the hub face and the rotor face and painting it to like a coating or something, and not knowing that seriously affects their run out, which is the wobble of the rotor.
Right.
And basically the way that you install the rotors is make sure that, and most of us all use old cars, they're all old and rusty or from the Northeast or Florida or somewhere, not everybody can get an out West car where stuff is still shiny and still has all the copper, the gold looking coatings on them still.
I should start a business basically where I'm finding West Coast cars for people on the East Coast.
Oh yeah. Oh, make a killing, man. Make a killing. If you can still pull out all those little bolts without them snapping, just looking at them.
There you go.
But basically you just want to clean and inspect your hub face. Take your brakes all apart, take them all off, clean and inspect it, take all the rust off with a wire brush. Don't use grinding wheels with sanders on them because you'll end up taking more metal off than you'll take metal off, and you don't want to do that. You just want to clean it off with a wire brush. get all the rust off it, make sure it's nice and clean. And then just inspect it, look for cracks. You can buy penetrating dyes that are non-destructive testing, where you can look for cracks in your hub face, or even your just all those metal parts down there. It's always good to do, but you don't have to do that. You can usually see them anyway. Don't paint or coat your hub faces, where your lug nuts go into. Don't ever do that. And mainly because however good you are, you're never going to get that level. I found that out the hard way. Sprayed it, try to get it all even, put the brake on it, and I had it was a massive amount of wobble. Once I took all that paint off, it was perfect within spec again. But don't coat it, don't paint it. And you measure the run out with a dial indicator. And where can you get dial indicators? Well, they sell them on eBay and Amazon and stuff, and they're relatively inexpensive tools, but it's something that any mechanic should have to test for that kind of stuff. Then once you put that brake or that
rotor,
once you get it all cleaned up, measure it on the hub, and I think it's like 5 thousandths or 0.0005.
5,000
for every for 5 thousandths, it affects the total when you measure it on the brake rotor face, the
right,
the swept area. That's going to be big, so you want to keep it around max is I think 0.002 0002. Yes. And then, but the measure of the run out on the rotor itself should be between 5 thousandths and 8 thousandths. 0.005, right? It's thousandths.
Yes.
I think. Yeah. So 5 thousandths to 8 thousandths. And that should be where your run out is at the max. You want less is better. Sometimes if you re-index the rotor, which is pull the rotor off, turn it a nut or a lug nut over.
Right.
Or stud over and put it back on, you'll get a different number. So just index that, mark your positions, and that can work. Or even just getting a different rotor. Try the left side over the right side sometimes. Some cars don't have left and right rotors, but you can move that around.
There you go.
But that will help you save your brakes, keep your driver's complaints to a minimum with the vibrations and stuff, and that's always a good thing.
Drivers don't complain.
You can do a web search on run out. Yeah. No, drivers never complain. But you can do a web search online and just there's YouTube videos all over the place about this. And it's simple to do, but it's what all professional mechanics will do when they're doing a really good high-end brake job.
Awesome.
Not just throwing the parts on and hoping things work.
I've done that. Sometimes that works. Sometimes not so much.
Roll that dice.
There you go. Yeah. All right. So that's a great tech tip this week. You put some thought into that one, Bill.
I did. And that's one of the reasons I was late to the phone call today.
Oh, is that what it was? I'll write that down. Excuse number 16. So
number 68.
Exactly. All right. So when we come back, we're going to get together with the winner, the champions. We should have had I can't play that music or else we'll get
We Are the Champions. No,
knocked off the internet somehow. But we were going to talk with the championship-winning car owner from Connecticut, Visceral Racing. Ron Herrick will be with us. We will do that when we come back. This is Inside Champ Car on the Racing Wire Podcast Network.
Every race weekend, you don't know what's going to happen. But with ChampCar.Live, all the action comes right into your living room. The Champ Car Endurance Series is North America's home to real competitive endurance road racing. And ChampCar.Live brings you live, full race coverage with in-car, trackside cameras, interviews, and expert commentary. And ChampCar.Live brings you live, full race coverage with in-car and trackside cameras, interviews, and expert commentary. Check out ChampCar.Live on the web, subscribe, and ring the bell so as not to miss a single minute of the action. It's fun, free, informative, and it's just a click away. ChampCar.Live. Come check us out. We bring you a front row seat, but you'll only need the edge.
Welcome back to Inside Champ Car. I'm Brian Polanski. He's Bill Strong. Our guest this week is team owner of, I think we're calling it the 2021-2022 Champ Car Endurance Series Championship team, Visceral Racing, Ron Herrick. How are you, Ron?
Hi, Brian. I'm doing great.
So congratulations. We'll start with that. I understand you guys had a pretty good weekend at the Ozarks. Is it the Ozarks, Bill? Am I saying it right?
It was Ozarks, plural,
Mm-hmm.
International Raceway. Ozarks International Raceway.
Got it.
Yes, the Ozarks.
The Ozarks.
The Ozarks. Great place to visit. Yeah, great place to visit. Great track. I mean, we talked about this earlier about how good the track is and how much fun it was.
Yep.
How nobody died within the first 5 minutes. And Ron, you guys took off, practice day, it rained. People were allowed to go out on their personal vehicles and preview the track. I saw you smiling and all, the anticipation of a race weekend coming up, and the next lap you all came around and everybody's face is squeezed right up against the window in total concentration now. Cause I think that first turn, or maybe by what turn were you like, oh crap, what did I just get myself into?
Turn one. Right in the very beginning. Like, holy crap, this thing is pretty steep and it's off camber, and it's not the guardrail is a foot away from the edge of the track. So
I like that. I like that when it's not my car.
Yeah. But we knew going into it, we had to respect the track. We had a lot of video that we watched, and we actually had one of our members in the winning car actually came out the month before and did a NASA event here, and took a bunch of video and gave us multiple pages of notes on the track, where to be careful, where to push. So that helped us out a little bit on that. Actually, it helped us out a lot.
Sure. Before we get too deep into the race weekend, let's go back and I always like to figure out how we all got to this place. So how did you get mixed up in motorsports, and let's start with that.
Well, for motorsports in general, I got roped into it, kicking and screaming. I had a friend of mine who wanted to do it, and I tried to talk him out of it. I said, it's going to be a whole lot of time. It's going to be a whole lot of money. And I said, whatever numbers you have in your head, just double it and triple it. And then after you think about it, you come back and you let me know, if you want to do it. But I didn't really want to do it. So he came back and says, yep, I definitely still want to do it. So then we started. And then our very first race, that's where I met Bill, actually. It's Summit Point in, West Virginia?
Yep.
And
Yep.
Our car was fantastic. It was beautiful. And then it blew up within the first 2 hours of the race.
Sounds like a story I've heard before on this podcast.
Yes. Yep. So we packed it all up, went home, and this time we actually rebuilt the engine instead of just running with whatever was in there, and went to the next race. And my buddy who roped me into this decided he wasn't interested in racing anymore.
Of course.
And he wanted out of the team. So I was like, oh man, what do I do? So I actually ended up buying his half of the team, paying him off, and then started our own team and just started recruiting drivers to come in and start racing with us. My first driver, Steve, has been with me since race number 2, Lime Rock, and he's been fantastic with us. So, and that's how we started. So now that was 8 years ago.
That's great.
And I'm still here.
So was it a Porsche?
It seems like forever. Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Was it a Porsche right from the start?
Yes. So we didn't actually pick our car based on what would do well or based on the rules or anything like that. It was, we went through and read the forums and tried to get information, and everything that we saw was pick what you know. find something that you like working on that you already know and go with that. So that's how we started with 944s. And I knew the car, I knew them well, and I could get them relatively cheap back then for $500 for a car. So that's how we started. And then we just happened to get lucky that, the car handles fantastic, which that we already knew, but it's got a lot of attributes that works well with Champ Car.
Right.
So we actually just fell into that and got lucky with that.
So you know the car because, of course, you are the field technical manager for New England and the Porsche cars in North America. So you got a little Porsche background in you, right?
Yeah, I think I just went over year 24.
Wow.
The Porsche product. And,
can I be your friend?
Well, that's where, before I started racing, I had no racing experience whatsoever. But I've had a decent amount of track experience just with my time with Porsche and doing track events and driving events, having customers take us out and doing a lot of car prep work for them also at the dealership level when I worked at the dealership. So I was prepping a lot of cars, and then our customers would want me to go with them to the track. So they twisted my arm, and I got to ride around in GT3s and turbos and all that. And I loved it. I just never wanted to build a car. So I knew how much time it was going to take.
So I'm a Porsche guy. You're racing the 944s. It's kind of the redheaded stepchild of the Porsche family, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. But
I mean, I love the 944. I always thought they were great looking cars.
They started out with VW engines, kind of a lot of parts based off the VW at the time, because they were supposed to be the beginner Porsche, Porsche.
It was kind of
Porsche or Porsche.
It was kind of like a Scirocco on steroids, right?
I know.
Yeah, it actually, like Bill said, it started off as a Volkswagen engine with a 2-liter. And then in Europe, actually, the 944 is branded as a Volkswagen Porsche.
Right, okay.
US, it just says Porsche on the back. But Volkswagen decided that Volkswagen Audi decided they didn't want to use the model. So Porsche decided to buy it from them, because that car was actually developed for Volkswagen. And they decided they didn't want to use it. So Porsche said, well, we'll take it. And then it, became a redhead stepchild. But the car is fantastic to drive. The worst part is no horsepower. And when we first started, we started with just the base engine, the 2.5 liter. And we could go around corners all day long. They were just fantastic. But anytime we had a car slow us down in the corners, it took us half a lap to 3/4 of a lap to get back up to speed.
Right.
And that was the worst part of that car. But the handling, the braking was fantastic.
I would argue that the best kind of car to have to start with is a low horsepower car. It teaches you how to drive, right?
Yeah, and that's actually what we did. When I built that car, I put a much beefier, heavy-duty cage in the car. We kept it low power, lots of extra safety equipment that we didn't have to have because, like I said, my buddy had never been on track, never raced before. So I said, okay, we're going to start off with something really slow and then work our way up. And that's what we did over the years. We ended up starting off with a relatively heavy car, low horsepower, and had fun with that. And that car actually won one race, the inaugural Thompson race in Connecticut. We won a race with that car. I think it's the only 2.5 liter NA car that's 944 that's won a race in Champ Car, at least in the 8 years I've been doing this.
Cool.
So, but yeah.
Well, I know that car when it was out, when you guys first started racing that, we were still, we had the V6 and we were also still racing the 2.2 liter MR2s and the normally aspirated ones. And I know that when we raced against you guys, we had a lot of good laps with you with those cars because they were relatively equal in power and cornering ability. So I remember just hanging off your bumper, just sitting there playing. I mean, it was great time back then. Back in the early and the simple days of chump car racing.
Yeah, that was one of the first real kind of rivalries I had was with this two MR2s, one yellow one and one green one. And that yellow one was just he would crawl underneath my skin and just get on my nerves because all I wanted to do was beat that yellow MR2. It was all the time. And then right when my car started coming up to speed, that's when Bill decided to retire
quit.
the car.
He's no dummy.
Like, Bill, really?
He's
you
no dummy.
retiring the car?
Well, Troy killed it for me. I mean, it was like we were so equal at one point. I mean, there were places he was a little faster and I was a little faster than him, but it was just so much fun. And our goal was not really winning races or anything. It was beating Troy, and Troy's goal was beating me. So it was just this huge rivalry. And then we went off to Canada, and those Mopar for Life guys told him he needed to lose weight, not him, but his car. So of course he came back in the Road Atlanta with that car being like 600, 700 pounds lighter. So that just ruined it for me. And I'm not blaming Troy for me quitting, because the reason I quit was because I took this job and I couldn't really race and do this at the same time. Because, it takes so much time out of your life. I mean, I had no life when I was racing. I still have no life.
You don't have a life now, Bill. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't have a life now. Yeah.
So I'm looking at the resume, and you've had success a little bit more every year, and now let's fast forward to 2022 with the big toe out to Missouri, as the locals say, and you show up at Ozarks International Speedway Raceway. One's a drag strip, one is not. I know, I've heard the story.
Yeah.
So going into this weekend, this past weekend, high expectations, I'm guessing?
No, not at all. So there's one particular car that we knew in my mind that there was no way I could beat. I could not beat this car on speed, pit stop strategy, fuel strategy. There was no way I could beat this car. The only way I could beat it was if it had an issue, if it broke down, had car contact penalty, something like that. I needed a little help from something else to beat it. The rest of the competitors, we're all very evenly matched, and we've raced many, many times before. So it was for those competitors, it was a matter of keeping the car clean, keeping it on track, and hitting your pit stops. We knew coming into this race that they weren't going to have any hot pulls for cars broken down on track. So it was going to be a pit strategy game with pitting under yellow was going to be key, very key. So that's how we kind of went into this. On Saturday, what we tried to do was we were going to pit a little bit off cycle and see if we couldn't gain an advantage by pitting under yellow. That way we could catch this particular car. And then hopefully they'd have to hit under
You're talking
green.
about the flat out Miata, right? You're talking about the flat out Miata?
Yeah, Nemesis. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, Nemesis, yeah.
Which is a fantastic car, fantastic build. Grant's a great guy. We had many conversations with him. He's come over, talked to us. We talked to him. And that's what I really love about ChampCar.
Well, the great thing about Grant's car is that he's taken it to the limit like you have with the Lightning. Just basically there's nothing in that car that's not needed to go forward and fast. Whereas the same thing with your car. And that's what makes that car just so dominant compared to the other Miata in NCs, right? Yeah, I think it's an NC. So it's just so much weight has been taken off that car. It doesn't even have a windshield nor A-pillars or anything in it. So
yeah, the attention to detail on his car is fantastic with the weight reduction. It's a lot of the little stuff too. I'm not going to give away any of his secrets, which he doesn't really call them secrets or anything, but he'll freely talk to you about it if you talk to him. But it's a lot of little stuff too that you look at and go, wait a minute, that's a little bit different. So he he maximized it, and that's why his car is so fast. I don't think he's really has an unfair advantage or anything, but he just did a really good job on that car. I actually told him on Friday or Saturday that I actually stole a couple of his ideas to add to my car. But yeah, that's what's great about Champ Car is the competitors. Even though we're all competing on track, we'll help each other out in the paddock all day long, every day. They'll talk our biggest competitors will tell you, oh yeah, this is what I'm doing. This is the air pressure I run on these kind of tires. And this is the tire that I think runs better here. This is the kind of camber or the alignment settings I'm getting. And Grant was like that. Many competitors have been like that. So that's what I think is really great about Champ Car. I've never had any issues like that with people just, get out of here. Don't look at my car. Don't do it. They'll freely talk about it all day long.
Yeah. So, Ron, you brought 2 cars to the event, the 959 and the 918. Unfortunately, is it 959, right? That's the one that went off in turn 1?
No,
918.
Was it 918?
Yeah,
918. The 918 being a brand spanking new car, full-bodied 944. No aero on that car, but it lost. You lost the rear end going into, or somebody, or was it Jay? Yeah, Jay lost the rear end going into 1. And did some severe damage to that car, to the fuel tank at least. Was that car expected to be the number 1 car?
No, but what's interesting is the 918 car, even the new 918 car, it's actually faster than the 959 car.
The
918 car has the engine is much stronger in that car than the 959 car, and the 959, because of all the weight we removed out of the back end of the car, it's very it's more difficult to drive it at the limit or near the limit. The 918 car actually is very planted, and it just goes wherever you want it to go. What we found is when we're driving both of those cars on the straightaways, the 959 car, the 918 just pulls it. We'll just pull the 959 car every day, any straight. But what we end up doing is we put our B team, let's say, in the 918 car, and we put our A team in the 959 car. Because, like I said, it's a little bit more difficult to drive that car near the limit, and that's what we had to do for the championship.
Right. So you were talking about your this team that you didn't think you could beat, and on Saturday you won Saturday's races. They came in 4th, 6th, and on Sunday they won and you came in 4th. So I don't think you gave yourself enough credit. You held your own there.
Well, Saturday we had help though. That's what happened. We had help. They had. First of all, their team, they have no windshield. And I knew that coming in. I had raced that team before in the rain, and I know how difficult it is without a windshield in the rain for them. So I was hoping in the rain on Saturday morning, it was going to come into effect and be an issue for them. And it was. They had a hard time seeing because there was no windshield. So they had a difficult time, so they weren't able to run their top speed. And then they had car contact later on, which gave them a broken wheel and a flat tire, which caused them to come in and go down at least another lap. And that's why we were able to finish in first. And it still would have been a run for first, but it made it a little bit more breathing room when they had that flat tire and that car contact.
Now the R Bank car pretty much had everybody Saturday until it was run off track, or until they ran it off the track, not before they run off track.
Yeah,
but they got stuck in the sand trap.
Yep. After the Nemesis car had their tire issue, then we were just eyeballing the R Bank car, because we knew they were just as fast as us. They had very good drivers. They always drive very well. And then again, we got lucky unfortunate for them, but they ended up going off track and then getting stuck. My driver told me that it was buried up to the rockers. For them.
Yeah.
Took them a bit to pull them out. But again, that's where the racing gods just shined on us for Saturday and helped us out a lot.
There you go. So did you have relatives?
Well, that's something that you've not had in the past. You've come, and we can't show this on radio, but you've come that close to winning this race before the championship.
Yeah, the racing gods weren't kind to us out in Sonoma, where we were within 20 minutes of winning the national championship out there. I was actually driving the car at that time, just on cruise control, and the car just decided to die. And wouldn't restart, got it back to the paddock, and the race was over. And I think we came in 4th or 5th now because of that.
Right.
But we got it home. I literally pulled the fuse out for the coil, put the fuse back in, and started right up. And that's all it was. That's all it was. And that was a heartbreaker. The
quintessential $2 part. We hear those stories all the time about, you can have the fastest car and there's a $2 washer or a fuse or, a broken wire or whatever. And that can bring the best of runs to a halt, literally.
Yeah. He had that race. It was an impressive run. I mean, that was at the Sonomas. You've been there, Brian. That's a big track, and just to beat some of the best in the nation there. And unfortunately, I remember talking to him before, and he was confident. And I've learned not to talk to him anymore, live on the show. But yeah, because that happened last year at Atlanta as well. Was it Atlanta? Yeah, this year at Atlanta.
Yeah, this year Atlanta. Yeah, we were within an hour and a half of winning that race, and then we ran out of brake pads and a little bit of talent, I think. But it happens. So now the biggest factor for this race, Bill, was you didn't try and put a camera in my car.
No.
That's what it was.
People were upset about that.
But what car did you put a camera in? You put a camera in 918.
Our bank
crashed.
And oh yes. And our bank.
and our bank. So yeah.
So
thanks for not putting it in 959.
So the lesson I'm learning is to not let Bill put a camera in my car.
Yes.
No, we don't say that.
I'm sorry.
Don't say that out loud. I'm
sorry.
You give Bill a hand in putting the camera in competitors' cars.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. It was interesting on the Sunday race. We talk about the $2 part. We were doing really well. We were in first place at that time. We didn't think we would hold on to it until the end of the race, but we were doing pretty good. And all of a sudden, the car just started cutting out with like 5% power. We get it around to pit in, and it starts running fine. And so he stays out there. We do a driver swap in about an hour, runs fine. He gets out there, and the car runs like crap again. Starts dying down. We came in and pitted. I pulled the hood. I literally tapped out a few items, grabbed a couple wires, ran fine, put the hood back on, and then the car ran fine for the next 4 hours. Still don't know what happened. It's still in the trailer, but I was like, what? Yeah. So that dropped us down to like 14th or 15th place, and then we had to battle back.
Yeah,
definitely. So before we let you go, who all do we have to thank here? Who are all the people on the team? Who sponsors? Give them all to us.
Well, the biggest person, and I wish Bill had asked me this on my interview over at Ozarks, is my wife, because she's co-owner of the team, and she supports my racing addiction. And my newest car is her name is Elvira, because she's the mistress of the night, and because that's usually where my time is spent, in the garage with her. So
wait. I want to stress to Beth that it's your responsibility to mention your wife, not my responsibility to mention your wife, because that usually gets me in trouble somewhere.
Yep. She was really
I'd like to
bummed.
thank Ron's wife.
Yeah. Well, she was really, really bummed that she couldn't go. She really wanted to go to this race.
Yeah.
Not to mention that we rented a lake house for the whole team, so we stayed at the lake. But she was really bummed. But yeah, so she's probably our biggest supporter. She allows me to do this with all the cars that we have, all the spare parts, the spare cars that we have in the driveway or at home. All the time spent, it's immense. So,
and you live in Connecticut too, where Connecticut's not exactly a car area where you can store cars all over the place, right?
Yeah, no, not at all. She allows me one non-operable car on the driveway, and that's it. So I have to keep them hidden in the trailer, in the enclosed trailer, or I have to keep them stuck in the garage. And every once in a while, she'll come out and go, "Hey, wait, where did that come from?" I'm like, "Oh, that's okay. Don't worry about that one."
Oh, that's always been here.
Don't you remember? Yeah. Don't you remember?
I had it in the back.
Yeah.
So my wife is the biggest one, of course. And then our crew chief, my son, Riley, he has been fantastic, helping me build the cars. He's just been great. And then our team members, we have, Steve, my original first member ever for the last 8 years. He's been with me. He's fantastic. We have Jay, we have Dave, Clive, and Frank on the team. And we picked up Justin this year. And they've all been great. It's a great bunch of guys to race with, and it's not just about the racing for us. We have to make sure that we're having fun when we're at the track, even if we're losing or breaking down. We're still having fun, and after 8 years, I believe we're still having fun. Troy's not on the team. He's not a team member. So
he's just a guest driver.
He's a rental driver, but he's
there we go. Okay.
He might as well be part of the team. He feels like part of the team. And our big we have another driver named Max, who's he's actually the driving dynamics director for Rivian Truck. And he is just fantastic. We call him the alien because the things he does with the car on track is not humanly possible. He is just amazing with his driving ability, and he could do things with the car that should put it squarely into the wall, but somehow always manages to save it at the last second and then do an FTD without even trying. So Max is out in California, and he's not actually part of the team, but might as well be part of the team.
There you go. Anything else, Bill, before we get out of here?
No, that's it. I think Ron's done an exemplary job of being a Champ Car representative, and congratulations, Ron and team, Visceral Racing Group, on your national championship. It's about darn time, man.
Well, that wasn't very nice, Bill.
Bill's not kidding. This is the seventh championship we've been to, and they've been heartbreakers, almost all of them. So it was nice to actually win one.
That's great.
Yes, it is. It's great. And Ron's
good.
Now you just have to do it again next year, man. That's going to be the hardest part.
No, I'm perfectly happy with one. What I need is the VIR 24. That's my next goal. I'm dying to beat that because it's not just beating the competitors. It's beating the track. It's beating the weather, the conditions out there, the rain, because it always rains. It's always foggy. And that track, that race is just that's my next goal. So
I raced with Ron last year. Was it last year or the year before last? Year before last at the 24. Yeah.
Well, that's why.
And that was a heck. Yeah. Well, yeah. But I mean, I was the slowest. Normally you would say I wasn't the slowest, but I was the slowest. But I brought the car back in one piece.
There you go.
So, and it was still the best ever dismount from a car where I face planted because one of your team guys there just decided to let go of me at the last second. Doc was just all over that one.
Right, we're trying to pull him out of the car because it's a rather tight opening to get in and out. So we're trying to pull him out of the car, and Bill gives this one big push, and right as he pushes to get out of the car, the team guy lets go of him, and Bill just probably falls right on the tarmac. He just falls flat on the ground. I was like, okay, that works too.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that.
And he jumps in it, and no, there's nothing on film. Nothing on film. If there wasn't, it's been deleted. No evidence.
That's too good.
Yeah, they would have been playing that over. It'd be like the Wide World of Sports opening on ChampCar.Live. Where it's like in the agony of defeat, plop, there goes Bill.
Lord.
But Ron's team, fun team to race with, and it's just had a good time with them. And the one thing that I with Ron, most teams I raced with, and even my own, I want my racers to say, hey, the temperatures of these, whatever. I'm telling Ron the temperatures. I'm telling him how the car's reacting. He just says, I don't care. Just race the car.
There you go.
That's Visceral Racing.
There you go. Ron Herrick, the owner of Visceral Racing's 2021-22 Champ Car Endurance Series Championship 944 Porsche. Thank you for being with us. Congratulations.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Bill.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about Hallett Motor Racing Circuit. That's next up on the schedule. We'll do that right after this break. This is Inside Champ Car on the Racing Wire Podcast Network.
Inside Champ Car is a podcast that takes a deep dive into all things going on with the Champ Car Endurance Series. Hosted by veteran journalist, radio host, and racer Brian Belansky and Champ Car's very own Bill Strong, we talk to drivers, team bosses, tech gurus, and series supporters. Episodes air every week in time for you to listen on your way to the track. Inside Champ Car is on the Racing Wire Podcast Network, found on Apple, Spotify, Google, and most popular podcasting apps.
And we are back on Inside Champ Car. I'm Brian Belansky. He is
Bill Strong.
That's you. That's where you're supposed to talk, Bill.
Yeah.
When I point
Didn't I say that? I said Bill Strong. Yeah. Well, I did. It could be my internet connection. We've got, darkening skies, and I'm in Oklahoma somewhere, so who knows what the internet's like here.
All right, we'll blame
Obviously,
it on
it's kind of bad.
We'll blame it on
Yeah.
that. All right. So what a great talk. Ronnie's a good guy.
Yep. The whole team is pretty fun to hang out with and race with, and even race with car to car. They're very good competitors. And that's what I like.
Very cool.
And he'll take risks and just have fun with it. So
that's what it's all about.
Kind of like what I. Yep. Oh yeah.
All right. So next week or 2 weeks now, because you got a little week. We got a weekend off.
Wow.
Right.
Yep. Well, I'm going to visit a local Ardmore, Oklahoma dirt track.
Nice.
Have not been to a dirt track in a very long time. So I'm going to take some pictures this weekend. It's going to be kind of fun, I think. And Southeast Oklahoma Raceway, I think it's called. And then I head up Thursday morning to Tulsa, Oklahoma, or Hallett, Oklahoma, or Cleveland, Oklahoma.
Sure.
And that's up near Tulsa. I think it's like 7 hours away, 6 hours away, though it could only be 3. I have no clue. I'll find out when I drive it.
There you go.
But we're at Hallett Motor Racing Circuit. Yep. They have a new design for the track. They put a tunnel in underneath the track so we don't have to stop the race anymore to let people in and out of the paddock area, which is going to be really cool. It should be done. If not, it's very close to being done, but it should be there for our group. 29 cars registered for it. We had a couple drop out, but then they reappeared. Wheels America Racing always does well at this track. The owner's son had a brain hemorrhage like a week and a half ago, and he's just a young guy too. I think he's 18 years old, 17 years old. Yeah, it was pretty wild. And but he's still in hospital, but he's doing a lot better. And the team has decided to come back and race. They canceled, but it looks like they're back in the thing, in the race again.
We'll send our.
They've got somebody to take his spot. Yes. Yeah, that sucks, man. It's like, and the wild thing was, I have like 3 friends on Facebook that actually had brain hemorrhages, or friends that had friends that were kids with brain hemorrhages over the last 2 weeks, and it's just wild.
Crazy.
Battle Scar Motorsports is going to be there with their 2 Crown Vics, another veterans group. CU Boulder's racing team is going to be there with their Mazda Miata. Kentucky Fried Racing, they're Kruger Tuned Racing, their Porsche Boxster will be there. That's always one to look for. Looney Tunes in their Mustang, fresh off the weekend at Ozarks. They'll have that car there. And one of my favorite teams, Two Beaners in a Bucket. They're out of San Antonio. They will be there this weekend with their new Mazda Miata. And let's see who else. Who else was
that would be
somebody else.
Weekend.
Oh, Auto Spec Racing. Yeah.
Anybody.
And Auto Spec Racing. What was that?
I said it's next weekend. I don't want to confuse anybody.
Yeah, not this weekend, but the following weekend.
I don't want anybody driving up to Oklahoma, getting in the car real quick on Thursday, going, "Oh crap, I got to get to Oklahoma."
Well, you never know. I mean, I've done that.
Yes. Well,
it's like
you probably shouldn't be our measuring stick.
Through 15.
Good. Good. Anything,
not even close.
Anything special about this Hallett event that people need to know about as they get ready to head out?
Well, there's a test day going on. If you haven't signed up for that test day, it's $300 for the day on Friday. That's track run, not by Champ Car, but call Karen at 918-356-4815 to reserve it. Unfortunately, there's no refunds once you pay. There's just lots of rules there where they have tornado areas that you need to go to the restrooms just in case. Yeah, just the basic stuff. Sure. Everything's in the supplementals. They have they'll have concessions there. They're also going to have a gentleman taking pictures, track photographer available for sale. Lots of cool stuff going on that weekend. It's a great track to race on.
Great.
I've done a couple of laps there, but haven't raced yet. I do have my suit and helmet and all my safety gear with me.
Hint, hint, hint. When we'll do a whole big preview next week. So, we just want to put our big toe in the water here, kind of like at the Miami Grand Prix Marina. Gonna put our big toe.
Yep, I just got. Yeah, that's right. And I just got the T-shirt art approved for final production for the Watkins Glen race. Did that this morning.
So do you
got some decals done for the
new T-shirt for every race? Is that what I'm starting to understand?
No. We do them for the big races.
Okay.
So I wouldn't do one for Hallett. In fact, we normally have just real generic shirts for these races, but we've kind of run out, and I need to get some more built, but I don't want to do it just yet.
Yeah.
So our swag sales are,
I'm a 4X, just to let you know. I'm a 4X.
Okay, all right.
My address is 29. No.
Child 4X. Is that it?
Yeah, if you want to put it on my left leg. So, all right, great. Let's do that, and then we'll do a whole full big preview next week. So since we don't have a race this weekend, next week we'll give a big full preview, and maybe we can get someone on the show next week who knows Hallett.
Yeah, and guess where I'm going to be for the show next week?
At the same hotel you're at right now.
Same hotel, yeah.
Very nice. So, and maybe
my brother lives here, so I'm visiting him. I've only visited him one day. I've had 2 days of straight work, man.
Yeah.
There's no holiday here at Champ Car.
So I see your brother likes you so much that you're staying in a hotel.
Well, no, he offered his place. He did. He has. I just, I'm old. I have to work. I have to do this, and he's a graphic artist, and he's got his stuff going on, and it's just I don't want to inconvenience him.
I was just kidding, but that's okay.
He's got himself a little house out here. He moved from San Diego and went for the simple life out here in Oklahoma. And
so he left San Diego,
really nice.
Went to Oklahoma, and after buying his house in Oklahoma, he had like $12 million to put in the bank account because that was the difference in the price between San Diego and Oklahoma.
Pretty much, man.
Yeah,
and That's why he moved out here.
Of course.
Yeah, it's cheap. And
we're
we're American Indian. We're Chickasaw. Yeah, we're part of the Chickasaw Nation. So, and he's living on the Chickasaw. The reservation here.
Nice, cool.
He looks more Indian than I look. So, yeah.
I'm gonna not touch that. All right, so I don't think there's anything I can say there that won't get me in trouble. So let's call this one a wrap. And again, we look forward to next week. We'll give a full preview of the upcoming race in Halle. Go a lot deeper dive than we did today. We'll do all of that when we come back. That's going to do it for another episode of Inside Champ Car. If you like what you heard, subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any episodes. It would also be great if you'd share it on your social media channels. You can comment on YouTube, or on YouTube, yes, or on the Champ Car Facebook page. Also, the podcast is on YouTube if you want to get it there. We have new episodes every week. He's Bill Strong. I'm Brian Belansky, and this is the Racing Wire Podcast Network.